Hello, Wonderhussy here, in beautiful, foggy, temperate San Francisco. Okay, there's a blazing heat wave going on all over the West. It's 130 degrees in Death Valley. It was 112 degrees in Sacramento when I drove through the other day. But here in San Francisco, it's cool and foggy and a nice, comfortable 70-ish degrees. Look, I even had to put on a hoodie. And you might be able to see over the rooftop of that building down the street, there's the mysterious island of Alcatraz, shrouded in fog. Okay, maybe you can't see it very well, but I'm staying at a friend's house, and this is the best view I could get from his patio. Anyway, San Francisco was founded by the Spanish way back in the 1770s, mainly because it's situated on a natural harbor, so it was easy for ships to sail into from all over the world. But then gold was discovered in the nearby Sierra Nevada mountains in 1849, and thanks to the gold rush that followed, this little fishing village blew up into a world-class city. And in the 175 years since then, it's seen earthquakes, fire, beatniks, hippies, techies, and pandemics. San Francisco has survived a lot over the years, but now, according to the news, it's in terrible decline. But you know how it is. You just can't trust the news. So I came out here to check it out for myself. Okay, like I said, I'm staying here with a friend in a neighborhood called Russian Hill, and admittedly, it's a pretty nice part of the city. In fact, he told me that Sam Altman, who's the guy who invented OpenAI, lives right across the street. Okay, according to my friend, I think Sam Altman's house is back up there in that cluster of trees, and unfortunately, you can't really see it, but that doesn't matter. My point is just that if someone like Sam Altman lives in this neighborhood, well, it's probably a pretty swanky part of town, right? That guy's got money, and it ain't cheap to live here to begin with. So my perception of San Francisco might already be a little bit skewed. I've been here for a few days, and everything seems pretty nice to me. Yesterday, my friend and I walked 11 miles across the entire city. We started out way over on the west side by the beach, on the other side of Golden Gate Park, and we walked 11 miles eastward, I guess, through the park, through Haight-Ashbury, through the Fillmore District, Nob Hill, North Beach, and then we ended up back here, and it really didn't seem that bad. But, the news makes it seem like it's some kind of post-apocalyptic dystopian nightmare here. And as a matter of fact, I saw a video last week that another YouTuber posted where he went down to Fisherman's Wharf. Okay, Fisherman's Wharf is one of the most iconic tourist destinations here. According to this guy, everything was boarded up, closed down, depressing, homeless people. Gavin Newsom, what have you done to this state? And then I read the comments, and yeah, there were a lot of people in the comments going, yeah, man, these California politicians are running this state into the ground. But then there were a few commenters who actually lived here in the city, and they said, no, this guy was misrepresenting the scene. I guess he went down there on a weekday morning, and of course it looked empty and boarded up. Supposedly it's not really that bad. So my friend's place isn't that far from Fisherman's Wharf, so I thought we might as well go for a walk and check it out firsthand and see for ourselves if it's really a dystopian nightmare. Hey, look at that. It's a driverless taxi. Okay, believe it or not, there's these weird kind of like Ubers around town here. What are they called? Waymo. And they have no driver. It's like a player piano. The car drives by itself. There's this camera on the roof that spins around constantly, taking pictures of everything surrounding the car, and somehow that informs the computer of, where to go. blows my mind. See what I mean? There's like this spinning thing on top that looks kind of like a siren on a police car. Well, it's not a siren, it's a camera. Apparently, here in San Francisco, everyone's on camera. Smile! Oh look, here's one of the world famous San Francisco cable cars. How about that? They still run these cable cars up and down these crazy hilly streets. There's still guys driving them. Look at that. What an amazing job that would be to drive a cable car. I think Maya Angelou, Dr. Maya Angelou, she was certainly the first black female cable car operator. She might have been the first female cable car operator in history. That's right, Maya Angelou is actually a very interesting person. She used to live here in San Francisco. She was a burlesque dancer at some crazy nightclub down here. And well, then she went on to become, I think, the poet laureate of the United States, and the rest is history. Oh, look, an accordion player. I love your accordion. Oh, look, here's the world famous Ghirardelli Square, named after the chocolate. And you can see there's plenty of tourists walking around. Beautiful sunny day like today. It is Sunday of 4th of July weekend. Oh, hey, look, there's one of those driverless cars. We can see it up close. See what I mean? There's no driver in the driver's seat, and it's stopping because it can sense that I'm walking in front of it. And then once I passed it, it drove away. Oh my God, I feel like a real hillbilly, or like Crocodile Dundee or something. Like I'm from Death Valley and here I am in the big city getting wowed by all this fancy technology. Look, there's Ghirardelli Square. You can see business is booming. Okay, apparently my friend says there's some giant vat of chocolate we can go check out that's being stirred by some machine. I figured, why not? Oh, there's no chocolate in it. It's dry. Wow, maybe this city is a dystopian nightmare after all. Oh, I love it. I need to get some ones. Actually, I don't know what that other YouTuber was talking about. It was plenty busy down at Fisherman's Wharf. Now, granted, this was the Saturday of 4th of July weekend, so it may have been busier than normal, but I'll bet you anything the other guy shot his video on like a Tuesday morning or something when he knew it would be extra deserted, just to make sure he got the maximum number of views. And I should know. As a fellow YouTuber, I've been guilty of using such disingenuous, dirty tricks myself. Like when I shot a video on the Vegas Strip back in 2020. To get the most clicks, I had to show Vegas looking deserted and apocalyptic. So I shot my video a few days before Christmas. Which, yeah, sure, Vegas was dead during the pandemic, but it's always extra dead the week before Christmas. Anyway, on the day of my visit, Fisherman's Wharf was pretty much thriving, which, I have to admit, was kind of a bummer. I mean, I'd never go viral with this kind of footage. If I wanted to get any views, I'd have to find some decay and fast. Okay, is this restaurant closed, you know? Castagnola's? Okay, so this is one of these old-time, iconic San Francisco restaurants that this other YouTuber was talking about that have closed because of the terrible condition of San Francisco. Which, I mean, if you've been watching this video, it doesn't look like there's any shortage in tourism here. I mean, there's plenty of people here spending plenty of money. So I'm not sure you can blame the closure of these restaurants on Gavin Newsom or the mayor. You know, I think a lot of it might have just had to do with COVID. A lot of these places shut down during COVID. And, well, a lot of restaurants everywhere never recovered from that. So I don't know that this is specific to San Francisco. Okay, apparently these other restaurants over here are also closed, and they're also iconic places. If you've ever been here over the past few decades, you might remember Alioto's and Tarantino's. I think I even ate at Tarantino's one time. Okay, yeah. Tarantino's completely closed. Alioto's right around the corner also closed. Yet there's still plenty of traffic on the street. I don't know, my friend who lives here, and he's lived here for decades, he said there is a lot of crime in this neighborhood. There's a lot of smash and grabs because there's a lot of tourists who don't know any better, and they leave all their valuables in plain sight in the front seat of their car. And so because thieves and no good nicks know this is an area rife with tourists, well, they know it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. It's easy pickings. So they come down here and unfortunately break into a lot of cars. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying that San Francisco is a safe place. I parked my car in my friend's garage, which let me tell you was no easy feat. Oh my God, my car is something like 6 feet wide and his garage was something like 6 feet 2 inches wide. So it was definitely a challenge to squeeze my beast in there, but I'm glad I did because, you know, I did hear about all these smash and grabs and I didn't want to fall victim to them. So I don't know. I mean, I guess there's no easy answer to this question of whether or not San Francisco is a disaster or not. You can film a video like this either way. You know, it'd be very easy for me to come down here on a sunny, busy day like today and go, everything's fine. Just as it was easy for that other guy to come on a Tuesday morning when there's nobody out here and go, it's a disaster. I think the reality lies somewhere in the middle. Wow, look at this badass retro, well, I can't really call it a cable car. It's like a street car. That's amazing. Let's watch it go by. What is this? It's not a cable car? What? Oh, that's a cable car. Oh my God. Oh, it's an electric train. Wow, look at that. $10 hoodies. Don't be chilly. Get a hoodie. Smart. They're capitalizing on the fact that it's 150 degrees everywhere else in California. Then people come down here and they go, dang, it's cold. Not me though. I came prepared. I guess I can save my $10, or maybe I'll just spend it on a cocktail instead. Oh, 1 hour cruise, only $20. Wow, what a deal. Oh, apparently they're making bread bowls that they then fill with clam chowder. Oh, I have a feeling I'm going to gain 50 pounds being in this city. What is that, an alligator? Oh my God. It's a loaf of bread shaped like an alligator. Okay, wow, it is a beautiful day today now that we got out of the fog. Having a wonderful time walking around, but now I gotta take a tinkle. According to what I heard on the news, well, there's people peeing and pooping everywhere here, but I haven't noticed that, and so I feel like I would really mark myself as a rube and a hillbilly if I just squatted in the bushes over here. Fortunately, we have these public toilets, and I'm not sure how this works. The door is wide open. I assume you have to pay to use it. Maybe the door won't close unless you pay. Oh no, look, it says free access. Oh dang. I guess they're trying to mitigate all these people peeing and pooping in the bushes by making these toilets free for everybody. I think that's amazing. I mean, as a woman, a petite woman with a small bladder, I often find myself in the position of having to take a tinkle when I'm out and about. And so I know where every grocery store bathroom is, convenience store bathroom, friendly bush and alleyway, but I think there should be toilets like this on every street corner. And again, this is in the tourist district, so they probably don't have these like in the bad parts of town, but look at that. It's pretty clean, relatively nice, and I would feel 100% comfortable taking a piss in here. But I don't have to because my friend that I'm walking around with wants to go get a drink at a dive bar. So I think I'll just go use the toilet there. Although if it's really a dive bar, the toilet's probably going to be worse than this one. Oh my gosh, look at this. Right across from that free toilet, there's a safe surrender site, aka Zona Protegida de Renuncia a su hijo or hija. I don't know what it says in Chinese, but basically it's a place where if you I guess, give birth and can't afford to keep the baby, rather than throwing it in a dumpster, you can leave it where? Here on the ground. Oh no, I see. This is a fire station. Okay, I've seen these before on fire stations. In fact, I think I've seen that sign on fire stations in Vegas. You know what I mean? It's just so sad to think that some people end up carrying a baby all the way to term and then dumping it. But then again, there's plenty of folks who are truly hard up here, and well, I guess I should go to a kind of a bad part of town to give a full representation of what's really going on here in San Francisco. But even down here in the tourist district, there is somebody passed out sleeping on a cardboard box right here next to the pier. Well, I didn't mean to be invasive. I'm just trying to give you a realistic representation of what this city is like right now. Oh wait, in addition to the baby surrender sign and the homeless person sleeping in front of it, this fire station is also very interesting for another reason. Look at this. Over here you can see the San Francisco fire boat. Look at that. They have a boat to put out, I guess if a ship catches on fire. I'll zoom in. Isn't that wild? Like these giant cargo container ships come in, or I don't know, somebody's cruising around on their yacht drinking Chardonnay and whoopsie daisy. Next thing you know, the stern is on fire. Well, I guess you call 911 and they send out this fire boat. It's kind of like a fire truck, but it's a fire boat. It goes out and puts out the fire. Good for them. I'm glad we have you, boys. Okay, well, it's interesting that the 3 historic, independently owned restaurants here, you know, Tarantino's, Aliotto's, and Castagnolo's, I already forgot what it's called. Anyway, those are closed, but there's still plenty of restaurants operating, but it's all stuff like Hard Rock Cafe, Bubba Gump Shrimp Co., In-N-Out Burger. And my friend that I'm with, he says it's not really unique to San Francisco. That's a problem that a lot of places are facing. And he called it the Starbuckification of the country. And it's kind of true. You know, all these little mom and pop places end up getting driven out of business because these big corporate chains can just do it for cheaper. Anyway, Starbuckification or no, and I did see plenty of that, there were still lots of mom and pop businesses operating all over the city. And I know this for a fact because my friend and I patronized several such establishments. I don't know what kind of dive bar has $15 cocktails. Well, I guess that's what you call a San Francisco dive bar. Oh, look, here comes another one of those self-driving cars. And what's interesting is, it's a Jaguar. How about that? When's the last time you flagged an Uber and it was a Jaguar? Okay, wow, man. As if those driverless Waymo Jaguars aren't interesting enough. Guess what I just saw up here? Look, it's a Tesla Cybertruck. You know how you saw those on the internet and everybody was making fun of them? Well, look at that. People are actually driving them nowadays. Isn't that wild? A lot of people say it looks like the car that you used to draw in kindergarten because it's so boxy and weird. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because people aren't used to that shape of a car. And what's interesting is that that's a truck bed. That thing rolls back and you can actually store cargo. Okay, not very much cargo. In fact, to me it just looks like a futuristic El Camino. Actually, I found the concept of a futuristic El Camino kind of an apt metaphor for the city itself, because that's kind of how San Francisco struck me. A bizarre mishmash of old and new, chugging along into the 21st century, fueled by a weird combination of grit and grime and fresh-faced idealism. The dichotomy was everywhere. Cable cars versus self-driving cars. Classic cars versus Cybertrucks, hardship versus luxury, and historic architecture versus cutting-edge modern design. Okay, so now we're in the financial district. Look at this building. Isn't that fun architecture? Boy, it's kind of trippy. Which reminds me of yesterday when I walked 11 miles across the city on mushrooms. That's right, I didn't mention that earlier, but all day yesterday I was high as a kite, bumbling through this dangerous post-apocalyptic wasteland on psychedelics. Oh my god, it was amazing. Anyway, as if walking 11 miles the previous day wasn't enough, I was getting my workout again. I think we covered something like 7 or 8 more miles just walking along the waterfront, through the financial district in Chinatown, and climbing up and down several punishing hills, including the world-famous Lombard Street, a street so notoriously steep they had to lay it out in a zigzag, like a slalom, to keep cars from losing control, which today apparently has become a sort of bucket list adventure for tourists who were lined up around the block to drive down it. But all that walking was totally worth it for me, because I wanted to see as much of the city as I could so that I could get an accurate idea of whether or not San Francisco was a wasteland or a wonderland. Okay, it's another foggy morning in San Francisco, only now it's a Monday. So I'm guessing everything is probably a lot different. You know, I have a feeling if I went down to Fisherman's Wharf today, it might not be quite as crowded. Although my friend who lives here said that, well, it's summertime, so it would probably still be pretty crowded. Unfortunately, I can't go back to Fisherman's Wharf today because I gotta leave San Francisco. That's right, I've been here for 3-4 days and I thoroughly enjoyed my time here. But now I gotta go head north, visit my mom, take care of some business. So unfortunately, I gotta get out. But I feel like before I leave, I didn't give a fair representation of the city, okay? I've been staying here in Russian Hill. And I walked around the touristy areas, and I walked around Haight-Ashbury, and I walked around North Beach, but again, those are all touristy areas, and so everything seemed fine to me, but I know there's plenty of places that aren't fine. So on my way out of town, I'm gonna try and cruise through one of those parts of town. This city is so hard to drive in. I mean, not only are there people and cars everywhere, but these friggin' hills are so steep. Fortunately, I'm used to off-roading, so it ain't nothing for me in my 4Runner. Okay, I think I'm almost at this challenge part of town. Apparently, my friend said there's a rescue mission there, and so there's usually a lot of, well, unhoused folks in the area, and that ought to give, I guess, a representation of the other side of San Francisco. Look, what's going on over there? Looks like we're out of the swanky neighborhood. Okay, I don't know, man. Google says I've arrived at this mission. I don't see a mission, but to be honest, I also don't really see anything that I would consider exceptionally terrible. I mean, I did live in downtown Las Vegas for many years, so maybe I'm just jaded, but nothing I've seen here really seemed that bad. Oh, look, I'm right behind one of those self-driving cars. So creepy. So yeah, driving around, my impression of the city wasn't that bad. In fact, come to find out, I had driven right past that rescue mission my friend told me about and didn't even notice it. I guess maybe if I'd gone 1 block farther to the east or 1 block farther to the west, things might have been different. But I don't know. I drove around what I thought was a pretty good amount, and I really didn't see anything that fazed me. So I guess unless you go right down to ground zero, which apparently is off the beaten tourist path, I guess maybe somewhere in the Mission District, you really don't see the decay that much. Or maybe I just have an extraordinarily high tolerance for decay. Anyway, like I was saying, I mean, yeah, sure, I didn't drive around the entire town, but I feel like yesterday I walked 7 miles, the day before that I walked 11 miles. You know, I drove around a bit. I guess there's one other place I can go that somebody told me about where the income disparity is supposed to be especially evident. So before I blow this pop stand, I guess I'll go check out one more place. Okay, I don't know, man. A couple of friends told me there's this one street at the beach here where there's $1 million mansions on one side of the road and then people living in their RVs and vans on the other side of the road. And some of the RVs and vans were supposed to be in pretty rough shape. But to be honest, I mean, yeah, there's a few busted old RVs and vans parked over here, but I mean, I guess somebody's maybe living in that SUV. And oh look, somebody might be living in that rooftop tent. But it doesn't look that bad. Again, maybe I'm just jaded from living in downtown Vegas so long. Or maybe I just have lower standards because I live in a pretty busted little community on the edge of Death Valley where, well, some people might say it looks like the movie The Hills Have Eyes. Because I don't see anything out here that looks that bad. The friends who told me about the homeless camp said they had driven through it back in 2022. So I guess the city must have cleaned it up since then. Which is a bummer for the view count of my YouTube video, but good in just about every other way. It shows that San Francisco hasn't given up or given in to the criminals. They're definitely struggling, and you could tell from all the warning signs posted everywhere, warning you not to leave valuables in your car, or people asking UPS not to leave packages on their doorsteps. Politicians and policies that are soft on crime are definitely part of the problem, but to say that San Francisco has given the city over to the criminals is an exaggeration. It looked to me like the vast majority of the city were keeping their noses clean and just going about the business of living their best lives. So, man, I don't know. I feel like all of this might just be a big old case of hype. I mean, yes, some of the people I've seen on these streets definitely look like they're going through some tough times. But that doesn't seem to be stopping the people of San Francisco from leading a pretty good life. I mean, there's people jogging on this little trail alongside the beach. Here comes a guy riding a very expensive road bike. I didn't go to every street corner in town, but I feel like I got a pretty good representation. And the verdict is hype, fake news. That other YouTuber who went down to Fisherman's Wharf must have just gone on an off day. But then again, I suppose an off day is in the eye of the beholder. And so if you're from Ann Arbor or Mayberry or some quaint little Midwestern town, well, you might find this to be a post-apocalyptic dystopian wasteland. But for people like me, well, it just seems like another day in the life of a California city. That being said, I've had enough of this particular California city, and I'm getting out of here.